Try now.
I'm Monique Beard, and I'm going to be talking about free writing. So basically, I think it's an important stage to like writing because it's the first point in which you do start writing, and it can literally be anything. It doesn't really have to make sense, but it gives you some sort of idea of where you're going to go with it. Yeah. And another thing which comes to like the end of the stages of writing is a script read through, and that's when you've got all your cast and your characters and you've got a set idea of like your script basically, and you just read through, and obviously any adjustments or things that you want to take out you can still do at this point, because it's almost a point of reflection on your script, so you're reading it as the audience member instead of the writer to see like where you can change stuff and what fits and what doesn't.
Okay, Chloe Legg. I'm talking about brainstorm. It's basically like comes after like your research and inspiration and stuff, and writing down all your ideas of what you can use in your piece, etc. And also character development is like obviously creating a character, working out like appearance, history, mannerisms, personalities, and it can also refer to a change of character that happens during the process of your story. Thanks.
I'm Harry. The first thing I'm talking about is inspiration, and I feel inspiration is kind of important because it's the basis for the entire script. If you don't get the idea in the first place, then you won't actually have a script. Yeah. So the second thing I'm talking about is shortlisting. So once you've got your idea, done the research, and the characters, you've got all these ideas, but you need to narrow it down into something that you can actually put into a play that people would actually like. And lastly, I've got feedback, and I feel like feedback is actually would be very important because if the only opinion you have on your script is your own, then I feel like it'd actually be very hard to tell if it actually is good, like if people would actually like it, because otherwise because without feedback you've got no one else's opinions to.
Saoirse Crowley. So I have research that's important in the rehearsal process because you have to have an idea of what you're talking about. You've got to not just have a vague idea, but you've got to have a detailed understanding of it. The next one I have is first draft. I don't think that's as important as it's made out to be, because it kind of, in the process you go through a line of getting your ideas together, and then you can develop it, and that will come with the process, which then you'll start doing in your second draft. But first draft is probably more ideas than an actual script.
Anisha Lewis. So trial and error is important because it's like the main method of problem solving. It's like characterized by repeating, and you have like very like attempts at figuring out ideas. So basically you're experimenting and you're playing with ideas. So you don't want to go with your first draft, you have to go with like so you have pitch an idea, and then you play with it, and by playing with it, it might completely not work. So then you scrap it, you trial something else, and then you find a happy accident, and then something comes out of that. So the whole point of playing and experimenting means that you've got a space that you don't get stuck in your way. You can like evolve and develop your work. And then structure is also really important because it's how like written text is organised, and it's a strategy that helps to like understand and coordinate ideas and methods and details. So like with Lee from Late Night Gimp Fight, he used the structure of having a beginning, a middle and an end, and then you just fill in the gaps in between, because if you don't have structure, you don't know where your story's going to go. It will just be this continuous loop that might never get to a point. You might not have a climax, and it might just be flat and stationary the whole way through, and it won't engage the audience.
Francesca Letter. So discussion is something that happens quite early on in the kind of process, because it kind of allows you to talk about ideas, see what other people kind of think of them. If you discuss it and you think you've got a lot to talk about, then you know you can have something to write with. If you look and you're like, I don't actually know anything about this, what I'm doing, there's no point writing about it. And it's good to kind of get other people's ideas as well, because it can inspire you. And then like second drafts, it's when you can get more personal with the characters. So if you do a first draft, get a bit of feedback on it, then you can find out what works, what doesn't work, and then it kind of makes you more. It gives you more of an idea of what you're actually working towards. You can know what you're cutting out. You can make it, and then you can actually start shaping your piece.
Yeah. So now we're talking about what we believe the top are.
Should we have a
three
general
major
discussion?
points. Yeah.
So what do we agree is the top three?
I would say inspiration.
Yeah, inspiration.
If you're not inspired by nothing, then you're not going to spark an idea from it.
And inspiration is even everyday things. So you're sitting on a train and you spot something, or you hear something from a conversation, and that just sparks an idea. Or even an idea that's taken from someone else and adapted and evolved. That's how most writing or ideas are made nowadays.
I also think trial and error is important, because you can't just go in and get it perfect first time. You've got to try different methods to see what works for you as a group and as an actor.
That's not even just from the idea, throughout the whole process. So you have to play, because you have your set writing, but it might not actually come to life on stage. So you need to just experiment.
So I have similar reasons, but I think, but for why it would, I would say the first draft of the script is because, like you said, you need it's more about sorry, no, because I feel like with the first draft, like it's a lot, because it gives you the baseline of how everything's gonna, how you want the play to go, and then you just tweak and adjust, and then the rest, and the drafts going forward are just tweaking this first draft.
I also think research is quite important, because obviously like it's furthering on your ideas, like what you already have from your inspiration. It's creating more for you.
And from research, you can actually, like, from the idea you sparked, find so much more evidence and stories behind what you want to do from researching, and that can even inspire you to progress further into your idea.
I think feedback's quite like important in that respect as well, because it's all well and good you being in like a room writing it all out, but until you actually give it to someone and let someone go, actually this might not work, and that you kind of see it, because not everyone has the same ideas and same humour and stuff as you, so they might not get it the same way, and you need that feedback to be able to progress it.
Well, I think
I agree
between
with
like
that.
research and feedback, there's a lot of similarities, because as much as you might know about your subject or how much you've researched, unless someone gives you feedback, and they might even know stuff about that, or they view it and they're like, it's not coming across how you've seen it. It works both ways.
Or even if you've like picked up information but interpreted it wrong, and then like you said, they've had the experience doing whatever, and then they can give you guidance to
Yeah.
help
It's
you
like
perform better. or
I
be
feel like
better.
research and feedback are kind of like two sides of the same coin, because because research is how you get the information out there, but then the feedback is how other people receive that information.
Perfect.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.